From a very young age, Amina saw the world differently. She noticed things that no one else could, secrets hidden in the shadows, whispers carried by the wind. But when she tried to share what she saw, no one believed her. Her eyes wide with fear, she pointed at things invisible to others, yet her words were dismissed as childish imagination. This is the story of a little girl who saw beyond what others could, but was unheard until it was too late. Listen closely to know when to trust a child's sight. Amina was just 7 years old, full of endless questions and wonder. Her small world was centered around her father, Jabari, their humble home in the village of Kibra, and the faint memories of her mother, Mama Ao, whom she barely remembered. Their house was modest but warm, with walls adorned by old photographs of baby Amina and a treasured painting Mama Ao had loved. Each morning, sunlight spilled softly through the lace curtains, and at night, Amina listened to the creaking floorboards, as her father moved quietly, ensuring every door was locked tight. Jabari was her hero, a strong man who worked long hours at the nearby workshop, returning home smelling of earth and iron, but always ready with a smile for his daughter. They played games, read stories, and talked about school, though even then, Amina could see the sadness that lingered in her father's eyes, especially when he sat silently on the worn sofa, staring at the sky or holding Mama Ao's old worn locket. One evening, Jabari came home with someone new. "Amina," he said, kneeling to meet her gaze. "This is Zuri. She's a friend of mine, and I want you to meet her." Zuri stepped forward, her smile gentle and warm. She was tall and graceful, with long waves of black hair and eyes that seemed kind yet mysterious. "Hello, Amina," she said softly. "It's so nice to meet you." Amina studied her carefully. There was something strange about Zuri, something she could not yet understand. "Hi, Amina," Zuri added quietly, reaching into her bag and pulling out a small gift, a polished, colorful bead carved from wood. "This is for you." Amina accepted the gift shyly. "Thank you," she murmured, unsure if she liked Zuri but willing to give her a chance. In the days that followed, Zuri became a regular visitor. She helped with cooking, played games, and told stories about the Great Lake and the spirits said to live beneath its surface. At first, Amina thought Zuri was kind and patient, never scolding when mistakes happened. Zuri even helped Amina build a model canoe for school. "One day, your father told me you're very clever," Zuri said one evening as they worked on the canoe. Amina smiled. "Maybe," she replied. Zuri's smile softened. "You remind me of someone I once knew," she said quietly. "Who?" Amina asked, curious. Zuri hesitated, her eyes clouding briefly. "Someone from long ago." Amina did not ask more, but a small knot of unease settled in her chest. One night, after dinner, as Zuri cleared the plates, she hummed a soft, haunting melody, a lullaby Amina had never heard before, but somehow felt she knew. "Where did you learn that song?" Amina asked. Zuri paused, then smiled. "From my childhood." Yet the feeling in Amina's heart told her all was not right. As weeks passed, strange things began to happen. One night, thirsty, Amina went to the kitchen and heard soft footsteps. Curious, she followed and found Zuri standing by the fireplace, holding a photograph of Mama Ao. Her face was unreadable, a mix of sorrow and something else Amina could not name. "Zuri?" Amina whispered. Startled, Zuri turned quickly, masking her expression with a warm smile. "You scared me, little one. What are you doing here?" "I was just looking at the photos," Amina said, frowning. "That's my mother. Why are you touching her picture?" For a moment, Zuri's smile faltered. "I'm sorry, Amina. I didn't mean to upset you." Amina nodded slowly, questions swirling in her mind. Who was Zuri really? And why was she so deeply connected to their lives? Zuri soon became an even bigger part of Amina and Jabari's days, staying later and sometimes sleeping in the guest room. Amina noticed how effortlessly Zuri fit into their home almost too easily. She cooked breakfast, packed Amina's school lunch, and smiled as if she belonged. Zuri had even helped Jabari fix the old wooden door at the back of their home. Everyone in the neighborhood seemed to like her too. "She's wonderful," Mrs. Neary from next door would say with a smile whenever she saw Zuri. "You're lucky. Jabari," she added one day. Jabari would smile and nod, but Amina wasn't so sure. One evening after dinner, Zuri suggested a family outing to the nearby lake. "It will be fun," she said brightly. "Amina, you can bring your buckets and collect some stones." Amina hesitated. The lake had always been her special place with her father. They used to spend hours building sandcastles and wading in the water. But now Zuri wanted to join them. When they arrived at the lake, Zuri seemed different. Her usual calm was replaced by a quiet excitement. She walked ahead of Jabari and Amina, her feet sinking into the wet sand as the waves lapped at her ankles. "Look how beautiful it is," Zuri said, gazing at the distant horizon. Jabari laughed. "You really love the water, don't you?" Zuri turned to him, eyes shining in the fading sunlight. "It feels like home. Can't you see?" Amina watched her closely. Something about the way Zuri stood there staring at the lake gave her goosebumps. It was as if Zuri belonged to the water, in a way Amina couldn't understand. The next morning, Amina woke early, curious to explore the attic she had often wondered about. The narrow wooden stairs creaked under her feet as she climbed, the air thick with dust and cobwebs. Inside, she found old photographs, letters, and trinkets that had belonged to her mother. Among the items, Amina discovered a bracelet, a simple silver chain adorned with tiny beads shaped like shells. Though tarnished, it was beautiful. "This is Mama Ayo's," she whispered, slipping it into her pocket and continuing her search. Then she found something even stranger, a crumpled photograph tucked inside an old journal. It showed a group of young men standing on a beach, smiling at the camera. One was her father. But what caught Amina's eye was a woman in the background, a woman who looked exactly like Zuri. Her heart pounded. How was that possible? This photo was from many years ago, far older than Zuri could be. She hurriedly returned the photo to the journal and climbed down the attic stairs. She needed answers but didn't know where to turn. That evening, Zuri noticed the bracelet on Amina's wrist. "Where did you get that?" she asked sharply. Amina froze. "I found it in the attic. It was Mama's." Zuri's expression softened, though her eyes lingered on the bracelet a moment longer. "It's beautiful. Your mother had good taste." Amina nodded, unsure what else to say. Later that night, Amina awoke to a soft humming, the same haunting melody Zuri had sung before. Quietly, she slipped out of bed and followed the sound to the living room, where Zuri stood by the window, staring out into the dark sky. Her voice was a whisper, but the song filled the room. "Amina," Zuri said slowly, turning with eyes glistening in the moonlight. For a moment, Amina thought she saw shimmering scales along Zuri's leg. But when Zuri stepped closer, the scales disappeared. "You shouldn't be up," Zuri said gently. Amina swallowed hard. "What were you singing?" Zuri smiled faintly. "Just an old song. Go back to bed, sweetheart." But Amina couldn't sleep. She lay awake, clutching her mother's bracelet, wondering who or what Zuri really was. "What are you doing, Amina?" Jabari asked gently as she hopped off the swing. "Planting flowers," she replied, watching quietly as Zuri dug a small hole nearby. Zuri seemed nervous, glancing over her shoulder every few moments. That evening, after Zuri had left, Amina returned to the spot by the tree. She grabbed her little shovel and began digging where Zuri had been earlier. Her hands moved quickly, her heart pounding with fear and curiosity. Then, her fingers touched something cold, a tarnished bracelet. Her hand trembled as she picked it up. She knew immediately. It was Mama Ayo's bracelet. "Dad, look what I found," Amina cried, running inside. Jabari was in the living room watching the fire crackle softly. He turned, concern knitting his brow. "What is it, Amina?" "It's Mama's bracelet. Zuri buried it in the backyard." Jabari took the bracelet, examining it closely. "This was your mother's? Where exactly did you find it?" "By the big mango tree," Amina answered. His face darkened. "Amina, are you sure? Maybe ... I'm telling the truth, Dad." Jabari sighed and placed the bracelet gently on the table. "Zuri isn't trying to harm us," he said slowly. "She's probably just trying to keep your mother's memory alive." Amina clenched her fists, her face hardening. "She's hiding something. I know it." Jabari shook his head. "Go to bed, Amina. We'll talk more tomorrow." But Amina knew no one would believe her. That night, the house was quiet, but her mind was loud. Questions about Zuri spun through her thoughts. Why had she buried Mama's bracelet? How did she know so much about their family? She turned in bed, pulling the blanket tight around her. Moonlight filtered through the window as she stared at the ceiling, trying to calm her racing heart. Then she heard it, a soft creak, like someone searching for something. The sound came from the hallway. Quietly, she slipped from bed and tiptoed to her door, opening it just enough to peek out. There stood Zuri by the attic stairs, holding a candle. Amina's heart thudded painfully. What was Zuri doing there in the middle of the night? Without thinking, Amina followed her. Bare feet cold on the floorboards. Zuri climbed the attic stairs, the candlelight flickering against the wooden walls. When Zuri disappeared inside, Amina waited a moment, then crept up after her. Through the slightly open attic door, she saw Zuri sitting on the floor, surrounded by boxes filled with Mama Ayo's belongings. Zuri held an old journal in her lap, flipping through the pages with an unreadable expression. Amina's breath caught. It was Mama's journal. "Why are you doing this, Zuri?" she whispered, stepping into the room. Zuri looked up, frozen for a moment, then quietly closed the journal and set it aside. "You shouldn't be here," Zuri said softly. "This is my house." Amina replied, voice trembling. "That's my mother's journal," Amina said, voice stronger now. "You shouldn't be touching it." Zuri replied, "I'm not trying to upset you," Zuri said quickly. "I was just remembering her." Amina watched Zuri's face grow sad, almost haunted. "I can't explain now," Zuri whispered. "But I promise, I'm not here to hurt you." Amina didn't believe her. "Why did you bury the bracelet?" she asked. Zuri hesitated. "Because some memories are better left buried." The next morning, determined to uncover the truth, Amina sneaked back into the attic while her father was at work and Zuri was in the garden. She opened the box Zuri had looked through the night before. Inside were old photos of Mama Ayo, letters, and the journal. Amina's fingers trembled as she flipped through the pages, reading her mother's neat handwriting. Most entries were about everyday life shopping lists, recipes, notes about Amina's first steps. But near the back, the tone changed. One entry caught Amina's eye. May 12th, Jabari came home late again. "I know he's hiding something. He says he's tired from work, but there's a look in his eyes he won't explain. Today, I found an old photograph in his jacket pocket, a woman I don't recognize. She looks familiar, like someone from my past. I feel like I'm losing him." Amina's heart raced. Who was the woman in the photo? Was it Zuri? Before she could read more, she heard Zuri's voice calling from downstairs. "Amina? Where are you?" Panic surged. She hurriedly returned the journal to the box and slipped down the attic stairs. That evening, Amina decided to confront her father. "Dad," she began, sitting across from him at the dinner table, "did you know Zuri before she came here?" Jabari frowned. "What do you mean?" "I found Mom's journal," Amina said slowly. "She wrote about a woman. Someone she didn't know, but had seen before." Jabari's face went pale. "Was it Zuri?" Amina asked, voice trembling. Jabari sighed deeply. running a hand through his hair. I don't think I've met her before, but let's talk to her. Maybe she can explain. Together they went to find Zuri. Zuri, we need to talk, Amina said, holding the photo. I found this in the attic, she added. It's from years ago, but there's someone in it who looks exactly like you. Zuri's expression didn't change. That's interesting, she said simply. Is that all you have to say? Amina pressed. Zuri smiled faintly. Jabari. There are things about me you don't know. Things I couldn't tell you before. Both Jabari and Amina waited, hearts pounding, for her to continue. I came here by accident, Zuri finally said, her voice soft but firm. But really, I came because of you. The room fell silent. Amina's heart raced as she looked between Zuri and her father, Jabari. His face was pale, his hands trembling as he leaned forward. What do you mean, Zuri? Jabari asked quietly. You came because of me? Zuri took a deep breath, her calm demeanor cracking for the first time. I've waited a long time to see you again, Jabari. I never thought I'd have the chance to stand here and tell you the truth. Amina clutched the edge of her chair, her small fingers digging into the wood. What truth? She whispered. Zuri turned to Amina, her expression softening. Amina, I need you to understand. I didn't come here to hurt you. I came seeking closure. For myself, for my family, and for your father. Jabari frowned. Closure? What are you saying, Zuri? Her voice dropped to a whisper. Jabari, you really don't remember me, do you? He stared at her, confusion and fear clouding his eyes. I don't know what you're talking about. Woman, he said. Zuri's voice sharpened. You ruined my family. Amina's breath caught. Dad wouldn't do that, she cried. Zuri turned back to Amina, tears shining in her eyes. Your father wasn't always the man you know now. Years ago, he came to my village with a friend. They thought it was just another small fishing town, a place for fun and trouble. They didn't care about the people living there. Jabari's face darkened. Zuri, he began, I didn't mean for things to happen the way they did. But they did. Zuri's voice was cold. My father caught you stealing from our fishing nets. He confronted you, and you hit him. You left him there. You didn't even look back. Amina looked at her father, eyes wide with disbelief. Dad, is that true? His voice cracked. I was young. I was stupid. I didn't mean for anyone to get hurt, but yes, it's true. Zuri's hand trembled as she spoke. My father died that night. My mother couldn't live without him. She walked into the sea and never returned. Amina gasped, tears streaming down her cheeks. Zuri, I'm so sorry. Zuri nodded. I grew up angry and alone, carrying that pain every day. I promised myself I'd find you, Jabari. I promised I'd make you pay. Jabari's voice was barely a whisper. Zuri, I'm sorry. I've carried the guilt of that night for years. If I could change it, I would. Words don't change anything, Zuri said, stepping closer. Her presence was overwhelming. Do you know what it's like to lose everything? To watch your family fall apart because of someone else's selfishness? Jabari couldn't meet her gaze. I think about it every day. I pray for forgiveness, even though I don't deserve it. Zuri's expression softened slightly, but pain lingered in her eyes. Do you really think saying sorry erases the years of suffering? Amina stood between them, voice trembling. Please stop, Zuri. I know my dad hurt your family, but he's not the same man anymore. He's changed. Zuri looked at Amina, conflicted. You're a good child, Amina. None of this is your fault. But your father. Jabari stepped forward, hand raised. Zuri, if there's any way I can make things right, tell me. I'll do whatever it takes. Zuri's gaze hardened. You can't bring my family back, Jabari. But you can face what you've done. Tell the truth. Admit what you did to the people who matter. The next day, Jabari drove to the police station with Zuri and Amina by his side. The air in the car was heavy with silence. Amina held Zuri's hand tightly, sensing the weight of the moment. At the station, Jabari confessed everything, his past, that night with Zuri's father, and the guilt he'd carried ever since. Zuri stood silently beside him, expression unreadable. After hours of questioning, Jabari was told there would be an investigation and he might face charges. He didn't protest. As they left, Zuri turned to him. "This is a start," she said quietly. Jabari nodded. "It's the least I can do." In the weeks that followed, things began to change. Jabari spent more time with Amina, opening up about his past and the lessons he'd learned. He became involved in the community, volunteering at local events and helping those in need. Zuri stayed for a while but visited less often. One morning, she packed her bags. "Are you leaving?" Amina asked, voice trembling. Zuri knelt and hugged her tightly. "Yes, Amina, it's time for me to go. But I will never forget you. Will you come back?" Zuri smiled. "Maybe one day." Years later, Amina stood on the beach, staring at the waves. She thought of Zuri and everything she had taught her. Her father's past didn't define him. What mattered was the person he chose to be moving forward. As the sun set, Amina whispered into the breeze, "Thank you, Zuri." And somewhere beyond the waves, Zuri finally found peace. Epilogue. The choices we make ripple far beyond what we can see. No matter how dark the past, there's always hope for redemption if we face our mistakes and strive to do better.